7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Friends, hello. September 24th, 2024, Virtual Strangers episode 223 is on the air. I, of course, am your host, Wes. With me this week from the Great White North is our good friend, Virtual Brad. Brad, what's up, buddy?
Hi there. Not much. I'm good. I'm in a hotel, so I don't know if there's echo or not, but yeah, I'm very good.
So
Thanks for having me again.
Well, thanks for being here again. It seems like I had to think about it for a minute, but it seems like it's kind of an annual thing for us now, whether it's here or on the CruCast. We seem to always congregate just before Connect every year and speculate on everything, including meta, but typically mostly Valve stuff. And
Yep.
it only seems fitting as we approach the one and only VR holiday that we have you on again. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, I was
So
looking today real quick. Just it's been 3 years since me and my data mining nerds first found the first reference to the Deckard code name. So it's just like wild 3 freaking years of this garbage.
so you say you're coming from a hotel then? Did I lie? I said you were coming from the Great White North.
Oh,
you
you're
missed me on the
not far
road.
off. No, you're not far off. I'm in Chicago right now. I'm gonna be flying
Oh,
to Tokyo very soon, and I gotta go from that airport. So it just made things kind of easier, basically, to do that. So yeah,
are you going to Tokyo Game Show?
yeah, I am surprisingly. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm going with my company EOZ because we're showing off some like of our stuff and our VR gloves and stuff, and
Well,
yeah,
that's
gonna see
cool.
Japan for the first time, so that's exciting.
You know, obviously working for Impact, we have many clients, and we're in contact with all of the VR influencers and media, and it's kind of been a narrative behind the scenes how kind of sad it is for Tokyo Game Show that from a VR perspective that they scheduled it right in line with Connect, because literally everyone is going to Connect. But then here
Yeah,
we are talking to Brad, and Brad's like the one person who's going to actually be on the floor in Tokyo. So
yeah, I don't even
it
think
should
there's
be
much
pretty
VR
cool.
there to begin with,
The
so it's
the
yeah, people aren't missing much.
There will be some. There's some of our Asian studios are doing demos over there. Um, but yeah, even some of those are in California right now, which is kind of a sad thing. But you know what I like? Obviously, I've never been to Tokyo. I've never been out of the country. But one of the things I really enjoy about Tokyo Game Show every year is that they do this virtual event where you can go in VR and kind of go through their virtual show floor and check out some of the virtual exhibits. And some years are better than others. And I haven't tried it out this year, but have you ever went in and checked out the virtual TGS app?
Yeah, I think I went. Was that 2 years ago? It was all right. I
Oh
wasn't
no, it wasn't
impressed.
great. It was never
Yeah, it
great,
was just
but
like videos, I think, and that was it for the most part in a VR setting. It wasn't that
um,
interesting, but yeah, I mean, it's
two
cool that they
years
do it
ago,
still.
2 years ago, it was Character Bank had a Ruins Magus booth in there, which was actually pretty cool. They kind of rebuilt out one of the areas in the game in the virtual show floor. Um, I remember, I think there was I want to say a Kojima area in there
Uh,
that had a little bit of like Death Stranding stuff in it. No, it was a virtual recreation of that one infamous area from the Kojima production studio with the
oh,
statue and stuff in it. So yeah, there's some cool stuff in there. Obviously, on VR gaming standards, it's pretty unimpressive, but it's cool that they're doing something, right? Like they're throwing us a bone, a virtual bone.
I guess they get some success doing it because I mean they're still doing it like this year again, like you said, they're doing another one, and that is really surprising to me because it's its own app usually, right?
Hmm.
Normally you gotta
Yeah,
download something. Yeah, that's wild to my brain that they don't just like
yeah.
do
You
VR
know, it's
chat
kind
or
of
something.
strange. There's a Quest app that you can download, I think, from the Quest store directly. But if you want to do like the PCVR version, you have to go to their website. Like it's not on Steam or Oculus or anything. You have to go download an app to install on your computer, which is kind of an old way of doing things, but certainly something I'm interested in checking out. Again, some years it's cooler than others. I think the first year was actually pretty impressive, even though like most of the stuff that they had in there was in Japanese and you couldn't really understand any of it. Like
Yeah.
the layout of it was like super cool. But over the years, it's become more westernized and gotten smaller and smaller and less impressive. Yeah, again, it's cool that they're throwing us a bone and supporting VR in any little way that they can.
Yeah, it's weird how
Anyway,
like, we see all these like use cases for AR where like the idea is in the future AR will have like real-time AI translations for your glasses or whatever. It's weird we haven't seen like an overlay do that yet with VR stuff because there's a lot of weird stuff like that where there's just like especially in the Japanese market where there's all this content that they make mostly for themselves, they don't translate it and like
right.
it seems like a really good opportunity for someone like Meta to think about, but yeah, with their
You
AI
know what?
craze and stuff.
And there's probably three underfunded startups out there that no one knows about that's working on something like that. These are the type of people that you meet, at CES and GDC that have some hole in the wall booth that no one visits because it doesn't have shiny like signage all around it. It's just like a table with a black cloth on it, and there's lots of these little startups doing little things like this, but the problem is that no one knows about it, and they're all looking for investors. So yeah, you're right. There's a lot, especially these Asian studios, a lot of tinkering going on. That's all in the kind of proof of concept stage right now, but hopefully in the next few years we'll start to see more of that kind of come to fruition. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 223. I'm going to kind of break from our usual pattern, Brad, because normally what happens when I bring you in here is we just get right to it and start talking to all of the topics and things, and then then we get done an hour later, and then I try to say hello to everyone in the chat, and It takes me about 30 minutes to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and say hello to the people in the chat right now. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for staying up late or getting up early, whatever the case may be for you. But let's see who's here. Cop Dog is here. JS is here. Backsorn VR. Heliophobic Dude. Brad, he says. Roy Schwartz is here. What's up, Roy Schwartz? Ali Dashti. Question: do you think we will get the Valve Deckard next year? We'll get to the Deckard in a moment. Don't answer that, Brad. Bluebell. What's up, Bluebell? Ezek is here. Philozix. Looper's here. Bambino Ramos is here. Chris Richardson. Chris Richardson says Brad almost looks AI generated. Yeah, go figure. Brad's being assimilated into the metaverse as we speak. Corporate Zombies here. Boognish 66. Ezek. UV Wrapped. Quadzilla's here. Cop Dog is here. Jerome is here. Good to see you. Not sure Brondo's here. Techno Glitch. Ezek Rostapuff says, I gave up on Deckard and got the Crystal Light to finally upgrade the index. Well, good for you. Impatience is always a good thing, because what's going to happen, what typically happens is you go ahead and you dish out the money on your second place, right? Your silver medal. And then 6 months later, the thing that you really want comes out and you just get it anyway. So good for you, Rostapuff, for not waiting. Who else is here? Radio Runt, Gabriel 004 is here. Jay, the Foveated Renter Gamecat is here. Salvador 12, the Backlog Gamecat is here. Ben Dowswell is here. Who else is here? Rondo, That Jank Cheese, Philozix. I'm probably repeating myself at this point. And then last but not least, Gamecat Behemoth. Hello, everyone, and welcome. And if I missed you, apologies. Who do we have slipping in today? We have danotube.com, Third Eye, Triple O, and Wild Hour, the Gamecat, Kill Artist, the Dreamweaver Gamecat, Sar in, Yop Grolaman, Hawk 107, all slipping in right at the end. Hello, everyone. Welcome. All right, Brad, now that that's out of the way, let's get into it, and let's start off with the topic of the hour and the thing that you and everyone else wants to talk about. And let's talk about Deckard, because we had I like most people have been following along with your Twitter, and we had almost like clockwork, right before Connect every year, there seems to be something that happens, some type of data leak or something that seems to carry a bit more significance than the typical stuff, run-of-the-mill stuff that you run across throughout the year. And that certainly seems to be the case this year, as I am a layman, so correct me if I don't fully understand the significance of this, but the latest Steam database data mining efforts have uncovered, is it the first really hard evidence of the long speculated Proton ARM build? Am I anywhere near the ballpark here with in explaining this correctly?
Yeah, I think you're pretty much right on there. So, I think it's good just to give a refresher of what Proton is for the audience. So Proton, if you've ever heard of the Steam Deck runs on Linux on a AMD x86 chip. Now the problem with that is, even though most PCs that Steam are based on are using x86 chips, they mostly use Windows applications built in with all their DirectX APIs and stuff. So if you remember years ago, almost like, actually it has been like a decade ago, there was the Steam Machine, which Valve was trying to really also do Steam OS, their own operating system based on Linux and all that stuff. And it failed because it relied on developers to port individual versions of their games to a very small Linux crowd that bought these very expensive Steam machine set-top boxes. So Valve stopped doing that. They kind of hid silently for like a decade. And then we're silently building in the background Proton, which is based on open source Wine, which literally solves the problem that, hey, it will translate all these API calls from Windows to Linux. And then they released the Steam Deck. That was like the first real device they shared how well that worked. They got a lot of the Steam library, the full library of games on this handheld that it's a little chunky, but it's pretty impressive, similar to what you would see from like kind of like a chunkier Nintendo Switch. And it was very novel, and it worked very well for people who kind of wanted. It helped a lot of people get introduced into the Steam ecosystem for the first time, because maybe owning a PC is too jarring, or all these other things. And also, the cool thing about Steam Deck, I think, is it's basically a PC. It really is just a PC with like a consoleized interface, but you can get out of that. Now you have I mentioned the Switch earlier. The Switch is very I mean, obviously it's dated, but the Switch 2 is coming out soon and stuff. That's running on ARM, which is pretty much the architecture that most mobile phones all run on. It's the same architecture that the Quest headsets run on, the Pico headsets, pretty much all standalone headsets, and what Apple, all of their MacBooks, all of their products, including the high end to low end, they're all on ARM, because there's a big benefit of power efficiency, especially at the low power state levels compared to x86. We've been obviously wanting to see a Deckard headset. We've been trying to data mine this stuff for years now, literally 3 years now, and we were not sure. We had a lot of these little hints that maybe like a Deckard type headset from Valve would have some sort of ARM chip inside, but we didn't know how far that would go until literally this week, or I should say Friday of last week. There was a big leak on the Steam database, steamdb.info, which we use a lot. It's a very helpful. It basically tracks everything that happens on Steam, where it comes to devs uploading versions of their games, adding app info for each of their apps to basically prepare it for going on the store. But you also find a lot of stuff that's hidden from the public's eye, that if you're kind of keen and understand what you're looking for, you can find really big things with this software. And sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but as Wes was saying, we had a lot of hints over the year that there was a ARM type emulation stuff being worked on by Valve, but we got like the biggest confirmation of that because there was this entire compatibility list that was leaked, all about showing how they are not only translating Windows x86 applications and some games to, I should say mostly Windows x86 games over to not only just Linux, but Linux ARM devices. They're also translating Android ARM applications to Linux ARM. So it's very clear now that it's at the point where Valve is definitely internally at least testing a ARM version of SteamOS. And the most interesting thing I think we'll get into is a lot of these games are actually VR games, whether they're be built for Android ARM or they're built using the emulation from the Windows x86 to the Linux ARM stuff. So, yeah.
So did we see this type of testing around the development of the Steam Deck as well, or is this something that we've really just now seeing for the first time?
So, Steam Deck was a kind of a weird. Okay, so Steam Deck was different. Valve was pretty open about Proton and them working on it publicly. So like we didn't know if they were going to ever release a product with Proton, but for a while, leading up between the Steam machines back then and like the Steam Deck, any Linux user would end up just downloading the Proton that Valve was working on, and then they'd be able to use it on their Linux x86 platforms to translate all the Windows games. There were even entire websites based on doing this and rating how well each game worked with Proton. The very popular website ProtonDB was kind of like the basis before Valve themselves implemented like this whole like Steam Deck compatibility system that shows on the Steam store whether how well a game will run on Steam Deck or whatever. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up especially is because this leak of all these apps on this list, this isn't just like testing, it's also listing exactly what versions of this Proton ARM and Waydroid stuff that they're using that works best for that individual game. So it's basically leaked that they're already setting very certain versions of this Proton ARM for individual games. So they've gone through like almost 200 games already, VR and non-VR, and set each one of what works best of this version. So it's a lot of preparation for them clearly productizing some sort of ARM thing related to Steam.
Okay, and so to kind of break it down, for people who are not very well versed in some of the tech that we're talking about here, just in case you're new to the whole Deckard mythos, um, for like Brad said, almost 3 years now, we've been speculating that there is a new headset in development from Valve. And the idea behind this headset is it's kind of a Swiss Army knife VR headset. Um, and a significant part of the feature set for this headset has been speculated that it is going to be have standalone functionality. Like you won't need a computer to run it. But unlike other standalone headsets like Pico and MetaQuest, this headset would essentially do what the Steam Deck does and run full-fledged Steam VR right there on the headset. So in theory, you wouldn't be getting some, watered down standalone version of the games on the Steam store, but you would have the proper Steam store available to you on the headset and your entire Steam VR library available on there as well. Or, being realistic, potentially some apps will work better than others, like the Steam Deck. There are certain games that run well on Steam Deck and others that don't. But it's just another iteration of PC gaming, essentially. Um, so I think that's kind of the significance of this here is not only is this our first really hard evidence that they are working on more standalone hardware, but they're testing VR games on it, which, it's not only VR games that they're testing on it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this can't be for a VR only device. Obviously, other standalone VR devices allow you to play Steam flat games inside the headset, and that's likely what would be going on here as well, right?
Yeah, they've been building. So another thing, we're gonna bring up the Steam Deck a lot on this topic because really the Steam Deck is a great example of like what they wanted to do for PC gaming and like creating their own kind of hardware that runs their own version of an OS, and like there's a lot of parallels that can be made to that. And a lot of the biggest stuff that was also released with the Steam Deck is something called Gamescope, which is their own built compositor, which the compositor basically runs, or it does a lot of things on the Steam Deck. It allows the most lowest latency processing of the actual GPU to the screen. It allows you to tweak individual settings of your AMD APU as much as you want, whether it goes into like limiting like frame rates and even there's kind of some even doubling frame rates that you can do with like FSR and some of that stuff right there. And you can also like they've added like reshade filters as well to Gamescope. So they built that out for Steam Deck already. But over the past, Gamescope has actually been something we've been watching for a while as well, like at least 2.5 years. And we've been noticing, at least back then, that there were some like slow updates that would kind of allow Gamescope to run as a overlay, like a VR overlay, in its own contained thing. This year, though, the Gamescope VR overlay updates have been getting quite regular. We were even able to like kind of test it out ourselves. We had a community member that was able to get this like GameScope VR overlay running completely on a Linux Steam VR build, and it's just ways to improve the idea of playing 2D games like in this like, if we're gonna be like silly, we're gonna call it like spatial gaming, right? Like you have all these overlays around you. You have like a giant screen that has like the lowest latency that the processor can give you in terms of all that. So yeah, there is a huge focus there for sure. I mean, they actually, if you remember, I mean, it was only 2 years ago, I think, that Steam VR still had the theater mode from back, like the one they developed for the HTC Vive, which was terrible. It was so freaking god awful. It was its own Unity app, and it showed its age. It never really worked well, and eventually they basically threw that away, and then they rebuilt the theater mode as to work as an overlay in Steam VR. So like, it can run alongside all your other apps and all your other stuff on Steam VR. So there's a lot of the parallels of like the spatial computing, spatial gaming stuff, and like GameScope is like, they're building that for a VR setting as well, for that 2D or gaming in your space.
It's very interesting to see what's happening to the gaming ecosystem in general, as we have companies like Sony and Xbox that are working diligently to take their platforms into the PC space. We have Valve here that's essentially doing just the opposite. They're taking the PC gaming platform and basically trying to consoleize it through devices like Steam Deck and Deckard and so on. So everyone is kind of has the same end goal in mind, although I would imagine that the the Steam devices, the Valve devices that they're making are much more complex. Does it worry you at all that a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, even a lot of the functionality in Steam VR right now, is stuff that most people don't understand how to use, and there aren't really many resources from Steam and from Valve to kind of teach people all of the things that are in there that they could be taking advantage of. Is there a risk here that we get some super advanced standalone / PC headset from them, but the majority of the population only know how to use about 15% of it?
I think they're gonna go very much with like a consoleized approach when they do actually launch Deckard. Like so Steam Deck, again, another parallel. Once you buy a Steam Deck, you never touched Steam or PC VR before. Once you launch Steam Deck, it looks very similar to like a Switch home screen or a
Does
PS5
it
home
use
screen.
like the big screen mode? Like I've never
Yeah,
used the Steam Deck, but big screen mode is very much like a console interface.
right. It boots exclusively into that first time. And in fact, you can also do a lot of like really advanced stuff, but for the average user, they walk you through like the consoleized thing with its own sort of like first time setup thing. But if you're an advanced user too, they'll also allow you to like literally just exit the consoleized experience and like run the Steam Deck completely like as you would a normal PC. Like I see people literally plug in like freaking Microsoft Connects to their Steam Decks on like the Linux desktop with a keyboard and mouse plugged in, and they go around 3D scanning stuff, and then they import it into Blender on Linux and stuff. That is what I really want to see from a Deckard more than anything. Like, yes, it'll be great to have like a simple consoleized experience in a standalone headset, but if it's like open enough to where like people who already have a lot of apps on the Linux ecosystem and like all this whole basis around translating Windows apps or Windows games and apps to this ARM Linux, which that's actually the biggest. I don't worry about the actual first time user experience or people not really getting all of the stuff out of it. The thing I worry about the most is how freaking complex all the translation layer and emulation stuff is, because there's a lot of layers happening all at once here. Like I already mentioned Proton ARM, and that will work in tandem with another emulator at the same time, which is called FEX, which is something that Valve has apparently been funding for a few years now. Which is funny because I remember seeing a few years ago people were sending me videos of this FEX x86 to ARM emulator, and they were trying out Steam VR in that use case, and it was terrible back then. Like it did not run back then the way they had it, but that in particular has come a long way. But like getting all these things packed together in a package that just works for the majority of people is way harder than the Steam Deck of just translating Windows to Linux on the same architecture. So that's the biggest thing I worry about.
Um, so, again, this has kind of been a perennial topic with us, especially around the Connect window. Things always seem to pick up right around this time, just enough to make us wonder if it's intentional or if it's not. It seems like kind of in the early days of our speculation about this device that we've always been pretty optimistic about this thing coming soon. But I don't know about you, but for me, over time, it seems like the more real it becomes and the more evidence we get of it, the further away it seems to be. Like if you would have asked me 2 years ago if Valve was getting ready to announce a headset, I probably would have said, yeah, I think they might be. Today, I don't really feel that so much. I can see what you're showing here. I can see that obviously a lot of diligent work is going into productizing, what they've been working on behind the scenes. But to your point just now, like there's a lot going on with this. This is going to be some pretty hardcore hardware that if this is what we think it is, this is going to have a beefy CPU in it and everything that's associated with that, with stuff to cool it and power it. And obviously they're going to want to make it comfortable to wear and battery efficient. So we're really talking about some next level tech here. And that alone makes me think, kind of to go back to the question the person in the chat had earlier, do we think they're about to announce this thing? I don't think they are, man. I think we could be 2 or 3 more years away from this. What's your feeling, if you even have any kind of feeling about when you think we might start to see this really come to the forefront and be made official?
I don't. I talked to some people after this leaked on Friday, and it obviously that was my first thing I noted was like, wow, this leaked very eerily before Connect. Like, was that on purpose? And when I asked around, this was apparently like a true fuck up from Valve. Like genuinely, it was not intentional. There were some. Yeah, I won't say more, but I don't think we're gonna see a Meta Connect, a Deckard announcement this coming week at all. I do think that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done for all this stuff. Like we said, like yeah, it's great that they have all this stuff built out already, but I'm kind of not. One thing that also kind of makes me not really confident that it's very soon is I think the most important application to have ready day one on this, like if a headset like this happened, would obviously be Half-Life Alyx, right? Like in Half-Life Alyx that ran completely on standalone, whether it be like its own port or it's doing all this emulation stuff. That's actually the one app that we didn't get any leak of, despite having this entire list. So there was a few apps that were leaked of like what seemed to be Android ARM ports onto Steam that they're testing with Waydroid to play those Android ARM to Linux ARM. I know it's all these freaking ARM words, freaking annoying, but it was the Lab from 2016, which has always been something Valve has used internally as like kind of like a test platform to like whenever they're testing out new features. Like I remember one of the first things they did with the Lab after it obviously released was they started building Knuckles, right? The controllers with finger tracking. And that was like one of the first things that they used the Lab a lot for that, to ensure that like this is a good idea, this is how we're going to build it out, this is how we're going to build our APIs to work with it. The lab is one of the apps that they have built an entirely ARM version of. There's another app that we don't really know if it's related to the lab, like it's called Labogrammetry, that does not pop up anywhere when we search it. Like, it's not an app that's been released before. We don't know if they split up the photogrammetry sections of the lab into its own separate app, which I feel is kind of weird, or it's just some other tech demo that they're internally working on that they also built for ARM. There's a couple of third-party apps that were also built for ARM that they are testing with the Waydroid, and that is Pistol Whip. Yeah, I mean, that Pistol Whip. And Moss 2 as well. And there was another one, I think it was Open Brush, which is Tilt Brush, but like the open source version of stuff. And that's, if I remember correctly, that's it for ARM stuff. So I don't even know if they're partnering directly with those developers, and like they might have info on what's going on internally at Valve, because there's such a small list of games. But that kind of list and like that branch of apps is kind of where I would expect to see a Half-Life Alyx, like if it was ported, and it's not there yet, which tells me, I don't know. I don't think it's coming like this year for sure. So
Yeah, that's me. Like I think we're looking at something here that's probably at the very soonest going to be a next gen headset, right? When we're starting to talk about Quest 4 and whatever the successor to um, Quest Pro turns out to be. Obviously, they canceled their original plans for Quest Pro 2, but
we
I
should talk
think
about that later, because I think it's super
yeah,
interesting. But yeah,
that's definitely on the docket. Because I think you're right. I think that they very recently internally, it seems like they may have taken a change in direction with what they want to do for that next gen Pro level. So yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. Um, but really quickly, obviously, you're right. Obviously, this thing is going to likely run Half-Life Alyx. What do you think about Tyler? What's his name? Tyler,
McVicker.
the sub McVicker. What do you think about McVicker's speculation that they may be working on a new Half-Life title to support this new headset, and that it might work in tandem with the flat version? So basically, two titles telling the same story from two different perspectives. I think that's a super cool idea, and I hope he's right.
Yeah, I talk to Tyler every so often, because obviously we kind of respect each other's work. Like he does all like he watches all the Valve game stuff, and obviously I watch all the hardware stuff. So we actually like kind of once in a while come together, and we collaborate pretty well behind closed doors and stuff. I mean, yeah, I think McVicker has gotten to the point where if he says something, like he was spot on about Deadlock, like the concept of Deadlock for years, and that turned out to be true. He was right about Half-Life Alyx for years, and that turned out to be true. I think he's definitely evolved to someone where you can mostly trust things. And if he does find out that that's what he says isn't coming to fruition, because Valve does cancel freaking stuff all the time. I think we'll find out later. But I think it's also important to note. I think he said it in a video, but he definitely last time we talked, which was like a few weeks ago, he did say to me that Deckard is like an actual focus at Valve right now. Keyword focus. So that doesn't mean it's coming out like right away, but that is something their hardware teams at the very least are heads down doing it, probably more than they have.
Well, I'd say that we're probably at the stage now where it's 100% greenlit, right? They've decided, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to make this a product. Now, there's a lot of work involved into actually making that product now. And I'd say that that's where they're at. They know that they have years of work ahead of them if they put their head down and go. Because if they don't put their head down and really go, it's just going to be in perpetual limbo development hell forever. and then eventually it'll end up getting canceled like the Vader headset did.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
should
they're
note one more thing because like
yeah.
we have been doing this for a few years and like uh, it, I've been kind of going back into my years of notes of this thing and it's been kind of fun going back and like you always feel like an idiot when you do this stuff because things that seem so obvious now, like I don't know, you just slap yourself in the face like why didn't I connect that piece together? But anyway, even the first data mine or the first leak of Deckard back in 2021, they leaked in Linux ARM binaries of Steam VR, like even back then. And then later we ended up getting like a whole Steam OS leak that had references to Deckard, like calculating statistics for thermals and stuff. And those thermals even told us that they were using some sort of Qualcomm chip for Deckard at the time. Yeah, slap in the face now because we totally like we obviously misconstrued of what that meant at the time. But one more thing I want to know is the first time that a Linux ARM 64 binary of SteamVR got pushed, whether accidentally or on purpose, to SteamVR was all the way back in September of 2019, a few months after Index came out. And I heard from people that Valve, they're a small company, right? Obviously, like it's well known that they only have like 200 to 300 full-time employees. They have like an army of contractors that they just like have them. They throw a bunch of money at all these different people, whether they be Linux developers on their own time or these organizations that are all focused on Linux development. And I've heard that they have been giving certain contractors not only Valve Valve Index headsets, but they give them Valve Index headsets connected to Qualcomm hardware development kits for XR2s and stuff, and they've been doing this for years now. So just like that's a cool thing I think to bring up with people. But I do think it will probably run on a Qualcomm chip if it comes out. We don't know. I don't think it's going to come out with the current gen one for sure. But yeah.
Right. No, definitely not. Again, unless we're just wrong. Like obviously, again, we've been speculating for years that it's right around the corner, and then it has turned out not to be. And now we're kind of preaching caution here and saying, well, it's probably a couple of years away at least. Watch, they'll come out this week and announce it or something. Wouldn't that be great?
It's always best to just expect disappointment. That's like the reality of this industry, especially. Expect disappointment. It's
Yeah.
great. It's wonderful.
Well, the thing about VR enthusiasts is that we're so enthusiastic and passionate about it that if we're not pessimistic about it, then we're just over the top hyped, and we just our expectations get so high for things that they inevitably always
Yeah.
disappoint. So you're right. It's always best to assume the worst so that
Yeah.
you can truly enjoy the good things when they happen.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's move away then from the Deckard talk. Obviously, there'll be plenty of room for that in the future. The next time we get a little tidbit, and let's talk about some of the other stuff that's happening in the space. Obviously, this week is Connect, and we kind of touched on it a moment ago. It wasn't long ago that there were some leaks that a outsourced Quest Pro 2 would be coming, I think it was next year, as a kind of competitor to Apple Vision Pro. But it seems like that that theory died as quickly as it came, but it has now been replaced by some rumbles of a new form factor, a new device that more closely resembles glasses or goggles and connects to some sort of a puck device that you might have on your belt clip or in your pocket. Um, I think the timing of this is all very suspect, and I think I've been thinking to myself that what this means is that they haven't given up on the idea of a Pro 2. It's just that they've got something very different in mind as to what that might actually be. Have you considered this at all, Brad?
So I think they have found the right partner to build a basically like a Quest Pro 2, but without Meta building it themselves. So like I've been starting to hear a bit about the Asus HMD, and the more I hear about it, the more it seems like more of a Quest Pro successor than like maybe it's not going to have all the bells and whistles, but it's getting pretty close to what you would kind of imagine a Quest Pro 2 would be. And I think that's kind of the one silver lining for Meta of this Horizon OS thing is they can partner with people. It can fail sometimes, like it failed with LG, because that was originally who they were expecting to build a Meta Quest Pro 2 with, and LG was like, never mind. we're just gonna we're gonna sleep again for another few years. And then yeah, Asus seems to be making a pretty good product from what I understand. And that allows Meta to do more experimentative hardware if they want in the high end, because I mean, I obviously love Vision Pro, but it's not selling as well as what these probably large companies want out of like a high end headset. And Meta sees that, so they're probably gonna like try to be like, hey, let's take some of the things that Apple has kind of made more socially acceptable in this space. Like, I mean, how I heard so many comments from Boz about how it was so stupid to have a wire going down to a battery in the waist. And now there's rumors that Meta's next big product, their big high-end product, is going to be yes, a thin headset, but with a wire going to your waist that has not just the battery, which is the compute, which I don't think I've ever been. I mean, obviously, okay, it's slated for 2027, so it can get canceled. It's a few years away. But holy crap, if that product releases, I think that'll be the most exciting product for me personally to like take a look at. That is so incredibly interesting, and I've been wanting the compute puck stuff to really taken off. So yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. Obviously, just taking that off board solves so many of the problems that we've just been kind of waiting on time to take care of, right? We've been waiting on the battery technology and the compute technology to shrink to the point where people can actually have truly comfortable, socially acceptable wearables. And just waiting on the time to do that for you is, you're looking at a decade or more. Taking this approach and just putting all that stuff in your pocket, it cuts the timeline in half, right? And I think that this is likely a direct reaction to having another real competitor in the space with Apple, and having to face the possibility that even after all of this billions of dollars of investment that they've done, that they might not be the market leader in 5 or 10 years. It's caused them to think outside the box. It's caused them to open up their platform and partner with others. It's just been a great thing for the space. Even if Apple Vision Pro 1 wasn't a big commercial success, just the idea that there's another big name company like that that's interested in this kind of tech, it's just going to reap so many benefits, not only for consumers, but for innovation in the space over the next few years. So, yeah, I agree. I think that this is very exciting, and I'm interested to see what this device is going to be. I'm wondering when they're going to finally roll out the varifocal that Michael Abrash has been telling us is coming in 3 years for the last 7 years. We got to be getting close to that, right?
One problem I really feel so. I think one thing we kind of missed, and maybe you talked about it on a previous show, but like, so the current prototype for this this product we're talking about that leaked or whatever roadmapped, it's called Puffin, and it's like a goggles type form factor. Like the current prototype internally was like around 150 grams or something. So we're talking about lighter than freaking big screen Beyond, which is kind of crazy to think about. And they said specifically from this leaked meeting that it has a form of pancake lenses. Now, so pancake lenses, I think we've all known by now, are phenomenal. They make headsets feel lighter, but the actual optics for current gen pancake lenses are actually heavier than Fresnel lenses, just from like the actual like if you took apart a Fresnel headset and you put on a scale, then you put it next to a pancake lens. Pancake lens is heavier because they have multiple layers of either glass or plastic. They put a bunch of like polarizers, whether they be flat or curved. And the hope in the industry is to replace either one or at some point multiple pieces of those giant elements of glass or plastic with thin films. And I think the most promising, and there was a show in China 2 weeks ago, and it was an optoelectronics show, and there was actually quite a lot of liquid crystal based polarized optics at that event. So even China, like it's still pretty early. It's not stuff that's releasing in products, but they had like Luxshare showing off 8 glasses that had that technology in it, and that technology is the basis for all the solid state varifocal that Meta has shown off.
Right.
And Luxshare is the company, by the way, who they make a lot of stuff, but they are the final assembler for the Apple Vision Pro. So I don't know. I when I hear 150 grams, I think they will at least have to have some sort of replacement for an entire plastic block in terms of like making something that lighter than Beyond again. But whether they decide to have active liquid crystal polarizers in there, that might add too much complexity and weight that they just don't want to do it at that time. So yeah, not sure about that one.
Only time will tell. Only time will
Yeah.
tell. Obviously, Connect's coming up this week, and right on time. We've had our annual leaks to show us what the new hardware of the day is going to be. Meta Quest 3S is on the way. Likely going to have a 2 or 3 week pre-order period that opens up this week, and these things should start shipping out pretty soon. What is your how well do you think this thing's going to do? Do you think we're going to come anywhere close to Quest 2 numbers for the lifetime of this device? Do you think that there's a market out there for an affordable next gen MR device?
I think there's a market, but I don't think it's gonna reach like Quest 2 hype nearly as much. Like that was just it's almost and I have to admit it's almost unfair to compare because like we're kind of like this weird time of tech in general where nothing is selling as many units as
Right, that's
things
true.
back then. But like yeah, I think it's gonna do okay, but I don't know. I think it's more of another way for Meta to like I think they truly are gonna pivot to like MR with this device, right? Like they were
Yeah.
definitely doing it already with Quest 3, but I think this more than anything, I wouldn't be surprised if they barely like I bet if we have like word counts of this upcoming Connect conference, they're gonna say MR 100 times more than they say the word VR, for example.
Oh,
And
for sure, for sure.
yeah,
But and it's going to be a two-pronged approach. Obviously, they already made the mistake once of pivoting too hard away from the VR gaming core, and they know that they're not ready for that quite yet. So, I mean, obviously, you have the selling point of being able to sell higher end VR games like Batman that you can't run on a Quest 2, and things that are closer to, AAA quality VR games in a standalone device. But that's only half of the equation, or maybe even less than half, because I agree, people aren't going to en masse buy this product in the same quantities as Quest 2 until they have that mixed reality Mario 64 must have app. Like they need their Beat Saber, right? The mixed reality Beat Saber, which may end up being Beat Saber. Who knows? But we haven't seen that yet. What do you think the chances are that they unveil something like that this week? That maybe there's behind the scenes some killer mixed reality title that they're really going to start pushing, because obviously these people aren't stupid. They know that it's going to take something like that to get people to buy in, even at this low price point. Like, we have to convince people that they need mixed reality. And so far, all they've given us is a few good titles, but mostly tech demos.
I think it's really hard to transition MR out of tech demos still. Like don't get me wrong, I think it's overall like a really positive thing, the MR stuff being as popular as it is, because again, it's still a VR device, so there's nothing stopping developers from making VR titles, and it'll be able to probably do a lot of those things better with like a lot of these things we're learning from MR. But like MR gaming especially, like I still am not completely convinced with the gaming aspect of it. I think it's really still hard to develop for. Um, and like even if they release a mixed reality Beat Saber, I'm sure people will tweet about it, but I don't think people are going to play that too much more than the VR version. I don't think it's gonna like really catch waves. What people really want from this is like they want something like a Pokemon Go, obviously, but like VR hardware it's not ready for that kind of concept where
Right.
you're just going around
It's
doing something
yeah,
like that. So yeah.
yeah. It's not to the point, especially when you talk about 3S. It's not to the point where you're ready to just wear it around town. Like, even Apple Vision Pro isn't at that point. Although it's closer than the other VR headsets, we're still miles away from the point where people are going to be willing to wear these devices in public.
Yeah.
So you're
I,
right.
I think
That's.
oh,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just like I think getting people in with the VR game, like the exciting big title like the Batman, and then like them to I'm re- I'm obviously people see me as like the big meta hater of the industry or whatever. But like I've been so happy seeing what Meta's been doing with like their whole OS recently. Like, holy moly, I'm so glad that they're like finally doing like all the overlays and the spatial computing stuff recently, and a lot of that stuff is starting to be like more useful in some ways than Apple's headset. Like being able to open up multiple windows on top of a VR app, can't do that on Apple, which is freaking God. I'm so glad there's competition in this freaking thing now. But no, yeah, I think like getting people in with stuff like that, and then like I think people will come to understand why people like me get excited about even the concept of like a Valve headset. That's even if it's just focused on playing my entire Steam library on like a big VR or AR screen and like having some other stuff around side that. I think that will be enough to make people understand it more, and I think it'll be a very educational device for those people that are obviously not going to invest in an Apple Vision Pro at $3,500 to figure that out, but they'll definitely invest $300 to understand it like from there. So, yeah.
Um. So, anything else we want to talk about from Meta here before we move on? I know they've been a little bit more vocal lately about the tangibility of true AR glasses. I think
Yeah.
that could be a big topic this week, because it's always, in years past, it's always been kind of the distant uh, end goal, but it seems like in recent months they're talking about it more like it's something real that we're going to see over the next few years. You think we could see them start to explain the technology of their prototype to us a little bit to kind of set the stage for the next few years?
I think they might. I have a bit more. Okay, I was very kind with my last rant. I think I'd be a little more cynical this time. So
All right.
I actually think they're going to raise expectations way too high for AR with with them showing off prototypes of these glasses. The technology that they're putting in them, um, that's so far away from mass production that like, so according to reports, it's going to be a really good device. It's going to be really incredible. It's going to be like the most expensive thing that Meta's ever built, and they only built like 100 of them, which is even oh god, so expensive thinking about it. But like,
Yeah.
um, but even then, it's like going to have what was like 60-degree or 60 to 70-degree FOV for AR glasses, which is very impressive. First of all, it's impressive for a waveguide. It's probably going to have pretty okay visuals compared to some of the stuff you've seen, but it's just people are. I'm really scared. I'm genuinely terrified of a metaverse situation happening, but for AR glasses. I'm scared Meta's gonna go up on stage. They're gonna show off this impossible to make thing, impossible to make right now thing, like they did with Varifocal years ago, and then they're just gonna
Right.
get the entire industry. It's gonna be the new AI. Instead of AI, you're gonna see every Twitter handle replace their name from AI professional to AR professional or whatever, and the reality is it's still really far away, and it's going to hurt. I'm afraid it's going to hurt mixed reality, because mixed reality for still many, many years is going to be the best AR experience you get, like with
Right.
the full FOV and like the whole switching between AR and VR stuff, like by far. So yeah, I'm very cynical. I'm very nervous about what's going to happen here. But Meta also has a lot on the line, because if it ends up disappointing the journalists that get to try it, I mean, they've been hyping up this AR glasses thing for so many years to their investors. I don't if even the best thing that can be made in like the most tiniest of volumes doesn't impress the tech journalists, that also would hurt AR too. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like a really dangerous thing to me.
Yeah. Well, we don't have long to wait now. Just a couple of days from the keynote, and we'll see. They'll show their cards as they often do. We've been doing this for an hour now, Brad. So I'm just going to really quickly hit you with a few more rapid fire things just to get your quick thoughts, and then we'll get you out of here. HTC Vive Elite 3. They just announced a new version of that has color pass through and a hard DisplayPort connection on it. What are your thoughts on this device?
Yeah, the Vive Focus Vision. I cannot believe
There you
they
go.
named it
Yeah.
that. But yeah. Seems okay. Like, I don't know, it's not for me, but I think their B2B customers will be happy with it. I was actually impressed, like okay, I saw Twitter complaining that like HTC is selling a $1,000 Fresnel HMD or whatever, but like you shouldn't have expected any more from HTC. Like
Right.
they are a company that like obviously doesn't even really have a software ecosystem to make money on. They've always priced their headsets. And actually this version of the Focus is cheaper at launch than the previous one. And it has like eye tracking as the built-in display port stuff. It's got the pass like from a Vive, like if you think of Vive and like what their target market is, it makes completely sense, and I think they do well. But if you look at it from like a consumer perspective, no, no, of course
Right.
not. But yeah,
Yeah.
not much to say on that.
It's more par for the course from HTC. They're launching what is in all likelihood a very good usable device, right? With a lot of features that people want, but pricing themselves out of the consumer market. So,
Yeah.
they're kind of limiting their reach. But you got to think that they know that at this point, right? And they're doing it intentionally. How could they not know by now that if they want to capture the consumer market, that they have to price their hardware a bit more competitively?
I saw a
Um,
comment that I just want to like reiterate. I think it was on Twitter as well or something. But like, if you think about how many companies have existed in VR since the big boom with Meta buying or Facebook buying whatever, whoever buying Oculus back then, um, there's not many of those original companies that still exist, but HTC, they're still
Keep on
here.
keeping
They're
on.
still
Yep.
releasing new headsets, so they're clearly doing something right, for their crowd. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people like to crap on HTC, but the fact of the matter is that at least over the last few years, their products have been good. It's just been all about marketing and pricing and timing of their releases that have really kind of kept them from being a big commercial
Yeah.
success. But their products are still high quality. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. Like they had that one terrible one, the Cosmos, that had the bad tracking and the crappy battery life. But since then, it's been pretty much improvement. They've had better and better products at lower and lower price points, and they keep getting closer to the mark. They're just not quite there yet.
Yeah,
Really
I don't
quickly,
think they'll ever be consumer again in general, which is fine for them. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Obviously, they're making it work. So, really quickly, thoughts on this visor event that we had go down this week. I've seen a lot of negative press this week because apparently they couldn't get their demo running at their live event, so they only really just showed off the form factor. VR Twitter pretty livid that our friends Eric and Todd seem to be the only ones that actually got a real demo of it. They seem to be very impressed with it. They were saying that there are certain aspects of it, visually speaking, that surpass even Apple Vision Pro, which is big words, obviously, but obviously with just those two guys saying it, it's not going to carry a whole lot of weight with the ecosystem. What are your thoughts on this device, and do you have any type of expectation for it being disruptive in the market?
I don't have any expectation that no. What they did end up showing off to like the few people that got to see it seemed to be like kind of the stuff I go to Display Week. Like, they have a bunch of display and optics benchmarks
Right.
that you put your face up to. And they show videos of beaches and waves and whatever to make the displays look good. Sound like that's all they showed off, which is kind of great. Dude, if I was an enthusiast consumer, right, and like I paid money to go to an event and that's all I saw, I probably would be pretty disappointed. Yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah.
Last but not least, PSVR 2 on PC. I haven't talked to you since this became a
Mm.
thing. I got to say, most of us that have bought into this and tried it out have been pleasantly surprised at the quality of the experience here. Like, this thing works out of the box. The controllers are supported on pretty much every game. They seem to have built a pretty fully featured Oculus emulator on the back end. Basically, Steam thinks that this is a Rift or a Quest, and it just automatically through OpenXR picks up all the games and everything works well. It seems to be a lot less resource hungry as like a Quest 3 Link is, and a better experience visually. Just to be honest, I didn't have the highest expectation for it. You know that we talked about it before. I thought that it was going to be a decent budget option for people that already have the headset and the PC. Um, but it turned out to be a lot more than that, and to the point that I haven't even picked up my Reverb G2 since I've
Wow.
switched over and got it. It's a better experience, hands down. Are you at all surprised about this, and what do you think about this as an entry level headset for PC gamers today?
Yeah, I still haven't had a chance to try it myself, but I had a lot of people come my Discord, who apart from like one who had like Bluetooth, I don't know if I guess did they fix most of the Bluetooth stuff by now, or is that still like shaky
That was
for some
something
people?
I really only saw it in our community on the first day, and it
Okay.
was a very small percentage of people.
Yeah.
Most of them, honestly, most of the people that were having problems with it had not attached their Bluetooth antennas to their motherboard. So
Okay.
like it wasn't working well, and then they
Right.
figured out that that stuff was still in their motherboard box and connected it up, and it worked fine.
Yeah,
Um,
everyone like 95% of the people that came in and like gave their impressions in my community, they thought it was good. So I'm not gonna question that. I think what was it? It was like $300 at one point, like, right? Is that what it costs on sale?
yeah, 350, I want to say,
350. Like,
recently on sale.
yeah, people who bought it for that, like, that's kind of crazy of a deal back then. I'm not sure. I'm still not sure if I would go out and buy one full price for it, but um, yeah, and anyone who like, I think I still had the same opinion back then as I do now. Is like anyone that already has a PS5 and like has a PC as well, and they want to like dip between both platforms now. Like it seems like it's pretty okay for that. So
No, it's good.
yeah.
The OLED is as advertised, man. I mean, I know they won't, for legal reasons, they won't come out and say that it officially supports HDR, but that's still an HDR capable panel in there. And man, let me tell you, the thing burns your friggin' retinas out. It's so bright. Um, it's like night and day versus a Quest 3, the difference in contrast and brightness. Um, so yeah, it's what I think those people that were excited for it, it is what they hoped it would be. It's a well supported OLED headset with a DisplayPort connection, and it runs well. So yeah, uh, I think it's good. It's my daily driver now. It's like I keep my controllers paired up to my PC probably 3 times as much as it's paired up to my PlayStation now. Like I go back to my PlayStation once a week, once every 2 weeks to play a game for Without Parole or something. But the rest of the week, my controllers and my headset are plugged into my PC now. All
I
right,
wanted to mention one real quick news thing that I thought is
sure.
kind of interesting since we're talking about OLED now. And this was something that like caught me really off guard. I mean, I'm very obsessed with like display technology in VR.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, so obviously with PSVR 2, they're like it's beautiful colors. It has all the benefits of like a bright panel, and especially like they use Fresnel lenses, which make they get to keep a lot of that brightness of the display. And a lot of people have always wondered why didn't they do pancake lenses, right? And the frank solution is that type of OLED display just can't get bright enough for pancake lenses. There's been a lot of talk recently. So Apple is trying to do a lower cost vision headset. And originally they put out a request for information to different basically display manufacturers. They had like a very set of specifications they wanted for an OLED on silicon, an OLED micro display, or micro OLED, whatever you want to call it, display. They wanted it to be quite large at 2.1 inches, and they wanted it to be around 1700 ppi. And the interesting thing that has caught me off guard is a couple manufacturers are sending back samples of not OLED on silicon, which is micro OLED. They're sending back OLED on glass, but a very special kind of OLED on glass that I'm going to be very layman here, but it's very important. So the display on your smartphone or the display on your PSVR 2 OLED display, they use something called a full metal mask, which is, as it says, it's basically like a stencil made of metal that has a bunch of holes in it, and then they evaporate all the OLED materials onto the actual the thin film transistors onto the glass, and that creates an OLED panel. The organic pixels on an OLED panel, and they do that for the 3 colors to get red, green, and blue, or whatever. Now the problem with that is the fine metal mask has extremely wide pixel, or I should say small pixel apertures, very big screen door effect. And getting that screen door effect lowered on fine metal mask is basically uneconomical and just basically impossible. So what you're starting to see a lot in the industry, display industry do, is they're kind of taking a lot of what they're learning of depositing OLED using silicon photolithography equipment and trying to apply that onto glass panels too, which actually would allow big OLED panels that are just as bright as micro OLED panels. And they're like 1500 PPI, which is like double the about double the PPI of the PSVR 2 displays. So we might see an actual future in a few years where even something like a Quest, maybe a Quest 5 or something like lower costs, can actually have both pancake and OLED without spending thousands of dollars for micro OLED. And I think that's just something I really wanted to bring up because it's a new thing. The photolithography processes from these display companies aren't yielding that well, but so is micro OLED isn't yielding as well either. So like you still have a lot of cheapness with the glass backplane over the silicon backplane. You'll probably still get the Mura, not as bad as you get with the current displays, but yeah, it would solve a lot of problems and allow you to create very cheap OLED pancake headsets when this gets mass produced at volume. So that was cool news.
Yeah, that is cool. That is cool. I love to see the rate at which technology advances, man. It seems like there's always something new and someone innovating in a way that nobody really ever thought of before. And this year the yield is low. Next year at Display Week, you'll be demoing this technology and looking through a little hole and saying, "Wow," you know. I love it. I'm not an enthusiast on your level, but I am kind of a casual enthusiast for display technology, so that is exciting. Thank you for sharing.
Yep.
Old Darth says PSVR 3. There you go. I love the enthusiasm, Darth. Anyway, Brad, thank you. It's been awesome and fun as always. I look forward to having you back next time. Hopefully it won't be very long. Things seem to be moving around pretty quickly in the space these days, and we're coming into the busy season. So whether it be here or on the CruCast, I'm sure I'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye, Brad. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gents, with that, we move into this week's headlines. We're going to move rather quickly, obviously, having burned up so much time talking to Brad. We're going to move through these articles pretty quickly, but I do have some cool stuff to share with you this week.
Look at all these cars. Looks like they're all running from the horror.
Oh, that looked painful, Fred.
Thank God for preservatives. All right, let's go.
Ah, hey there, Fred.
What are you doing in there, huh?
Bye, Fred.
Yes, still works. Let's check it out. Hey, a winch. Exactly what I needed.
Shit! Turn it off, Fuck! Fuck, here they come!
time for some fireworks. Let's do this. Alrighty then. Please. Shh. Everyone clear the blast area, okay? We're about to bomb some shit. So here we go. Yes! That was what we call kaboom, ladies and gentlemen. Kaboom.
PlayStation.
Arizona Sunshine Remake shows off visual overhaul on Quest 3 and PSVR 2 ahead of October launch. This from Scott Hayden, Road to VR. Vertigo Games is getting ready to release its remake of Arizona Sunshine, the co-op zombie-killing adventure that started it all, showing off some new gameplay footage for Quest 3 and PSVR 2, too. Announced back in mid-August, Arizona Sunshine Remake is headed to all major headsets come October 17th, including Quest 2, 3 Pro, PSVR 2, and Steam VR headsets, cross-platform co-op included. Among a bevy of graphical updates and new mutilation and gore system introduced in Arizona Sunshine 2, the remake features all original DLCs and updates, including the Deadman DLC, the Damn DLC, the Old Mine update, Trailer Park update, and Undead Valley update. Now, Vertigo Games has released gameplay videos for both Quest and PSVR 2, giving a direct look at how graphics compare between the two. Ostensibly captured on Quest 3, the new gameplay video shows a big jump in graphical fidelity over the original Quest-supported version launched in 2019. For comparison, take a gander at John McChaos's no commentary playthrough on Quest 3 to see what Vertigo Games is promising with new overhauled version. You can pre-order the game on Quest here, priced at a 10% discount off the usual MSRP of $30. Note, and this is an important note, ladies and gentlemen, players who already own the original Arizona Sunshine will be able to upgrade to Arizona Sunshine Remake at a discounted price, requiring you to have the original game purchased and installed on your platform. Keep that in mind before pre-ordering. So they say you must have it in your library and installed. What that tells me is that there's going to be a direct link inside the game to upgrade. So you'll have to go into the original Arizona Sunshine, and there'll be some kind of prompt in there for you to upgrade. I don't know why else they would possibly ask you to install the game. But don't go pre-ordering this thing just yet. I think most of us have Arizona Sunshine in our libraries. But I don't know about you. I'm quite excited for this remake. This is one of my all-time favorite games, probably the game that I've played through more than any other. I'm a huge fan of this title and look forward to checking it out on next-gen hardware. Left Control Gaming says, I pre-ordered on PlayStation and will do the $10 upgrade on my PC. Yeah, I own it on all platforms, and I bought it on all platforms. I bought it for PlayStation, I bought it for PC, I bought it on Quest. It's handy to have on Quest, honestly, because, you know, while the other platforms obviously have a bit more graphical fidelity and more assets to them, Quest is where everyone plays at, right? And I've got multiple Quest headsets in my house, so I'm kind of excited for it, even the Quest version, and we'll take a look at the Quest footage here in just a moment. Headbot says, I'm sure they also improved lights and shadows with the remake. We'll go for the $10 upgrade to finish the campaign with friends. Yeah. Evan Yabu, so we'd have to set up our PSVR 1 to upgrade? That's a good question. I don't know how to answer that. Well, I guess maybe that's the truth. I don't know. It seems like they would have another solution for people on PSVR 2 or a different upgrade path, but I cannot confirm that, so I don't want to say it. So does that apply to the PS4 version? That's a good question. And one that I maybe should ask. Let's see if I can get an answer for it. I'm actually not aware. Ezek says I have it installed on my PS5, but I don't have the PSVR 1. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Anybody can install it on their console. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my speculation that you have to go in the game to purchase the upgrade is wrong. I'm just speculating that if they're asking people to install the game, that's probably why. Maybe there's another reason that I'm not thinking of, and maybe just having the game, installing it on your PS5 will unlock it in the PlayStation Store. Kill Artist, the Dreamweaver Game Cat. I am very excited to play this on PSVR 2. I only played like a third through this on PSVR 1. Headbite says, I don't think they'll force you to launch PSVR 1 game to get the update. Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. This is a different situation, right? If people were still playing on PSVR 1 and they were releasing this game on PSVR 1, then that would make more sense. But the fact that this isn't a PSVR 1 game, this is a PSVR 2 game, it seems like they would have a different upgrade path for those people. But yeah, no, I get it. I'm with you. I'm definitely down for some new co-op adventures with my friends and family. On that note, let's take a look at the Quest version, because obviously the PSVR version looked quite beautiful. But some of you might be surprised just to see how good looking the Quest version of the game is.
Look at all these cars. Looks like they all went running from a horde. Well, speaking of the bastards...
That looked painful, Fred.
Whew. That took quite a bit of ammo. Let's see if I can find some more in these cars.
Thank God for preservatives.
All right, let's go. Hello? Anyone here? Yes, it still works. Let's check it out. Huh?
Oh, shit! Turn it off, turn it off. Fuck! Fuck, here they come!
That's number 2. Only one more. Here we go. Alrighty then. Everyone ready? Freddy's? You good? This is gonna be fun. Right, everyone clear the blast area, please. Shh. Everyone clear the blast area, okay? We're about to bomb some shit. So here we go.
Yes! That was what we call a boom, ladies and gentlemen. Kaboom.
So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Arizona Sunshine remake on Quest. I don't know about you, but I think that looked better than the original looked on PlayStation VR. So, you know, naysayers can say what they want about standalone, but it's getting to be in a pretty good place. Obviously, it'll never be on par with console and PC, but it's getting closer, right? It's getting closer, and it's reaching a threshold where that's actually a viable platform with the new hardware. Boy Brown says that's not a bad effort for Quest 3. Absolutely not. I think it's pretty good. Evan Yabu says this will be a cool crossplay game for me and my friend to play since we use PSVR 2 and Quest 3 to play together. Yeah, and obviously the Quest version would have to be at a certain threshold for it to even allow crossplay, right? Because you're stepping into the same game world together, and you know, doing so and keeping things with a low enough latency to where both players are having a smooth real-time experience. The versions of the game have to be relatively close. Lozic says it's close to PS4 level. Yeah, I like in terms of just pure, you know, detail and stuff. The PS4 would probably be about on the same level with it. But when you take into consideration the higher resolution displays and just the overall clarity of the modern hardware, I'm sure it's a head and shoulders better experience on Quest 3. Anyway, that's something to look forward to coming out in just a few weeks. Looking forward to playing that one again during spooky season. But like I said before, we're moving quickly. Let's move along to our second headline of the week. EXOcars launches on PC, Quest, and PSVR 2 this October. What a month, October. This is from Cal himself at Upload VR. EXOcars is skipping early access and heading straight for full release on Steam, MetaQuest, and PlayStation VR 2 in October. Developed by Zocus and published by Joyway, the developer behind Stride Fates and Dead Hook, EXOcars is set to offer a buggy racing experience in VR, delivering a new racing game with real car physics. Despite EXOcars being revealed back in April with an early access launch date set for May, the racing game has been quietly delayed several times on the storefront pages. However, Zocus planned for early access period for EXOcars to be roughly 4 months, which almost coincides with the launch next month. Post-launch updates across late 2024 and 2025 promise to introduce new tracks and vehicles. The developer promises a variety of locations for you and the other players to compete in asynchronous multiplayer. Asynchronous multiplayer. Between races against friends or strangers, you can customize your buggy to your liking. However, if playing with others isn't your preference, you can play the single-player mode, which offers skill-based progression. For the ultimate competitors, players dedicated to their buggy racing career can dive into tournaments. And for those jumping into the game on MetaQuest 3, Joyway states visual enhancements for Meta's latest headset included upgraded shaders and textures, alongside anti-aliasing across all locations. Joyway has also confirmed steering wheel support for Steam and PSVR 2. EXOcars will arrive next month on PCVR via Steam, MetaQuest, and PSVR 2. A Pico version is also coming, but a release date remains unknown. They're saying all the right things, or at least almost all the right things. Asynchronous multiplayer was something that I was not quite expecting. I expected this to have full-on head-to-head multiplayer. Asynchronous is a bit of a letdown. But with that said, racing games are fun, and physics-based Doom buggy racing games, I imagine, are going to be a great deal of fun. Wheel support on the high-end platforms and enhanced graphics for MetaQuest 3. So, again, a lot of stuff here. They're saying all the right things. Will this game be polished when it launches in just a few weeks? Only time will tell, but I'm cautiously optimistic about this one. I think it looks really cool. Kill Artist 1, the Dreamweaver Gamecat, says this game will fill my dirt rally needs using my driving rig. Hopefully. Yeah, I hope so too. Boy Brown VR says it'll be bare bones. The Joyway curse will strike again. Well, Joyway is the publisher here, and so we don't know exactly how much influence they're going to have on the development studio, but this is not a Joyway game. This is a Zocus game. Eben Yabu says, LOL, a buggy game, but it is a positive in this context. Looper, the Underground Gamecat, says Batman still says October without a particular date. Yeah, we'll see about that. I hope it is October. I think it'll probably launch alongside that headset. So, yeah, I think we'll get it very, very soon. And then, of course, Mr. Lord Beavis says, woot! Steering wheel support. Yeah, that's the one thing that's got me looking forward to it a little bit, is the fact that it actually supports a steering wheel. Because let me tell you, friends, after playing racing games with a wheel, it's kind of hard to go back to playing games that don't support the wheel. So, lucky that this one's going to support it. I look forward to trying it out. And with that, we move along to the next headline for the week.
Weave double jab, step, throw a hook from the right. You got a mean uppercut that'll change your underbite. Championship on my shoulder with veteran battle stripes. You waiting for this moment for pretty much all your life. Thrill of the fight. It's the thrill of the fight. Yo, they ask me why we do it, it's just the thrill of the fight. Stay true, committed to it, it's just the thrill of the fight. Round for round, pound for pound, it's just the thrill of the fight. It's the thrill of the fight. It's the thrill of the fight. Yo, they ask me why we do it, it's just the thrill of the fight. Stay down and committed to it, it's just the thrill of the fight. Round for round, pound for pound, it's just the thrill of the fight. Hey, yo.
It's the thrill of the fight, y'all. It's the thrill of the fight. The Thrill of the Fight 2. Gameplay revealed, coming to Quest Early Access in November. This from Scott Hayden, Road to VR. We've been hoping to see Thrill of the Fight 2 in action since it was announced last year. The upcoming sequel to Quest's most popular VR boxing sim. Now, studios Sea Lost Interactive and Half Brick Studios released the game's first proper trailer, further announcing it's headed to Quest in early access on November 21st. The early access version on Quest is set to launch with online multiplayer, which includes skill-based matchmaking and direct matchmaking, as well as customizable avatars and what the studio calls responsive, true-to-life physics. See Lost Interactive's Ian Fitz says on the game's Discord, the team plans to bring it to other platforms eventually, which he notes isn't due to any contractual exclusivity or anything like that. And unlike the original Thrill of the Fight, the sequel's biggest claim to fame is its online multiplayer. Although a single-player career mode has been confirmed to arrive at some point. Single player is important to us, and I want to take it way beyond what's in Thrill 1. But multiplayer is the shiny new feature that Thrill 1 couldn't do. That is going to hog the spotlight for a while, Fitz says. We've reached out to learn more about the upcoming career mode, and we'll update this article when we hear back. In the meantime, you can now wishlist Thrill of the Fight 2 on Horizon Store. Kind of looking forward to this. I never played the original one. I'm not a fan on that level, but I am a fan of combat sports, and it seems like everything that the first one seemed to be lacking is going to be included in this second one. The first one looked, at a glance, positive reviews aside, looked to me to be like a boxing tech demo. It didn't look like a fully fledged, fully polished out game. That's the reason why I never played it. This, on the other hand, looks like just that. It looks like a fully fledged, realistic boxing sim that allows you to fight people online in multiplayer. And I think that alone is awesome. I think this is going to be an awesome fitness tool for people looking to use VR to get in shape. I think this is going to be a fun way to get in shape. Left Control Gaming says, I want a Fight Night VR where we can fight the legends. Absolutely. And it's going to be games like this that act as a stepping stone to those officially licensed games of tomorrow. Hopefully, if this game is good enough, done well enough, and is well polished enough, we'll see these studios reach out and try to secure some licensing for the next gen version of the title. Gabriel 004 says it's worth starting up for mixed reality boxing matches. There you go. Always talking about the first one. Yeah, MR mode, kind of a recent addition to this title. And definitely a feature that will allow you to box in your play space a little bit more comfortably. Boy Brown VR says Ultra Boxing looks visually better than this so far. I don't even know what Ultra Boxing is. I've never even heard of that. Mischievous Marcio, the Underground Game Cat. Creed was super fun online, so this one could be really good. I never did the Creed Online stuff. I did play the Championship Edition, and I did enjoy it, although it was a bit arcadey. It was fun. So I imagine that it is a lot of fun with friends. Yeah, and 5 Lozix agrees. Creed was okay with the characters. Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot too with the bare knuckle game that's coming up. There's a bare knuckle fighting game coming up from Monologic, and it looks absolutely phenomenal as well. Somebody needs to be reaching out on behalf of these studios to get some real players and real fighters in here. Sign a contract. Like that bare knuckle game needs to be BKFC branded, right? Mike Perry needs to be on the cover of that. And this boxing game, same thing. Like go to the boxing association and get a licensing agreement. Put Muhammad Ali in your game. Put Tyson Fury in your game, and watch people line up to play. Boy Brown says Ultra Boxing is very similar to Thrill of the Fight. It's in early access on Quest. Oh, App Lab game. I had no idea that it was even a thing. Anyway, Thrill of the Fight 2 coming soon to MetaQuest and coming later to other platforms. This game's slated for November launch. Thank God, not another October release. We've got enough of those already. This one coming in late November. So yeah, people are going to be knocking each other's lights out over the Thanksgiving table. And with that, friends, we come to our final headline of the week. Another cool game, a cool headline that I wanted to share with you all.
Hey Iron Rebellion pilots, this is Waffles, bringing you a progress log video for Iron Rebellion version 0.939. We're thrilled to announce we've arrived at the final update for Iron Rebellion. Bringing in the last few pieces of an 8-year-old journey, this is our last major push before 1.0, and believe me, it's a monster of an update. 3 brand new classes, for a total of 6, each with their own unique abilities, providing almost limitless variety and dynamic gameplay. Our brand new Augments tuning station, allowing you to tweak, tune, and tinker to your heart's content to build the mech of your dreams matched to your unique combat style. And lastly, a balancing pass to the mech armor system, retuning the tempo of the game for slightly longer lasting, more satisfying battles. 6 new mechs and class abilities. Each of the 6 new mech classes come with a baked-in powerful ability unique to each mech. These abilities increase the depth and decision-making throughout the entire match, opening up new paths for your team to achieve victory. Let's take a look at these new machines of war. Recon. A nimble, lightweight mech designed for swift reconnaissance, the Recon excels at keeping an eye on the enemy, even when they're out of sight. The Recon's primary ability is the deployment of multiple proximity-based sensors, which can auto-ping enemies within range, giving both you and your team's eyes on the back of your head, quite literally, tracking enemy movements and avoiding ambushes. Infiltrator. A ghost of a lightweight mech built for stealth and infiltration, its primary ability, entering cloak mode, renders the Infiltrator almost completely invisible, especially when standing still. Whether you're the type that likes to ambush other pilots or covertly steal a last-minute uplink station, the Infiltrator can be a terrifying machine. Breaker. The Breaker is an aggressive medium-weight mech designed for berserking, assaults, and flexibility in combat. Its primary ability, Breaker Mode, overclocks every system, allowing it to jump higher, move faster, and have infinite thrusters for a short period, which can make for a terrifying experience for any opponent that gets in your way. In addition, the Breaker has a secondary ability that allows it to broadcast a marked area for a devastating orbital strike. The Breaker is the Swiss Army knife of the battlefield. E-Pulse. A medium-weight mech armed with a powerful EMP detonator, the E-Pulse temporarily disables all enemy mech systems in its wake and destroys shields and proximity sensors, stunning enemies and leaving them vulnerable to follow-up attacks. Reinforcer. A fortress of a heavyweight mech, the Reinforcer serves as a mobile support unit. You can deploy repair canisters, ammo supplies, and automated combat turrets that engage enemy targets. This mech can also act as a mobile deployment point for your team, significantly aiding in the reinforcement of front lines. Guardian. A robust, heavyweight mech, the Guardian's primary ability is deploying a large, one-way energy shield, blocking a finite amount of external damage while still allowing you and your team to fire from within. In this way, the Guardian is the pinnacle of defense technology, enabling a team to hold their ground no matter where they are on the battlefield. Be aware that well-timed hull crackers can still penetrate the shield, and if the enemy destroys the small shield generator at the center, it will go down instantly, so keep your head on a swivel. Mass, and the new importance of ammo. The system in your cockpit that manages abilities runs on a raw material called mass. Ammo crates now contain ammo for weapons and additional mass for ability use. Each ability requires a different amount of mass, so be sure to plan ahead. Augments. If abilities are the sledgehammer of war, then augments are the gears that drive it. Augments let pilots tinker and tune their mechs, weapons, and general systems to match their own preferred gameplay and role on the battlefield. With this update, the pilot has truly been given the tools and controls to craft their perfect mech to a much deeper level that goes far beyond mech class, weapon loadout, and ability attachments. You can save a total of 3 per saved loadout. Mech Armor Retune. Because Iron Rebellion has evolved into the multifaceted wargame it always aspired to be, It was important that the tempo was checked and retuned to allow adequate time for pilots to react on the battlefield. For that reason, we have raised the armor on all mechs in order to create the space for more intelligent gameplay. Based on feedback from our community, this change allows for much more satisfying engagements, and with the increased survivability, far deeper combat scenarios and teamwork as a result. 1.0 launch. With the completion of all major weapons, mechs, and abilities, we've reached a major milestone. Now, we'll focus all our efforts on cleanup and polish to bring Iron Rebellion across the finish line with 1.0. As we close on the biggest chapter of this game thus far, we'd like to thank our massive community for helping us shape Iron Rebellion into the game we always dreamed of making, which we stand by and are excited for thousands to finally enjoy for years to come. Keep an eye out on our official launch date announcement on both Discord and social media channels. Thank you all again. I'll see you on the battlefield. Waffles out.
VR mech shooter Iron Rebellion adds new abilities as full release draws near. This from Henry Stockdale, Upload VR. Iron Rebellion, a VR mech sim love letter to Titanfall and Hawken, receives its last major update before entering full release. Previously released in early access 3 years ago, Iron Rebellion is one step closer to ending its 8-year development cycle, marking its most significant early access update yet. Developer Black Beach Studio is introducing new mech abilities in version 0.939 via 6 customizable classes, 3 of which are brand new. Recon is a mech designed for swift reconnaissance that can deploy motion sensors. Infiltrator is built for stealth and can cloak for invisibility. Breaker is a medium mech designed for combat flexibility, letting you briefly overclock your abilities and call in an airstrike. E-Pulse mech comes with an EMP detonator to stun enemies and destroy shields. Reinforcer is a heavy support unit that provides supplies and acts as a mobile redeployment point. Finally, Guardian can use a large one-way energy shield for defensive play. Deploying special abilities requires collecting new raw material called mass, and every ability has a cost. Other changes include tweaking augments through a new tuning station, while balancing has been adjusted for the mech armor system. Black Beach Studio states version 1.0 will focus on cleanup and polish, and all that's detailed in the latest progress log. Iron Rebellion is available now in early access on the MetaQuest platform and Steam, while the full release is planned for Q4 2024. A flat screen PC mode will also arrive directly after the full release. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Iron Rebellion. You know, I've never been a big fan of these mech games. I wasn't before VR, and despite having played a couple of good ones since I have become a VR gamer, I'm still not the hugest fan of the genre. With that said, people have been talking to me about this game for years. People really hold this one on a high regard and as possibly the very best mech game available in VR. I've been told numerous times that I need to give it a look. Even if I'm not a regular mech fan, that the game is just that well done that I should take a look at it. So you all let me know what you think. I did realize today as I was going through my various key accounts that this game has been offered to me. There's a key waiting for my acceptance. So if this is something you'd like more information on, if you'd like for me to cover it, play it, maybe on a gameplay stream, let me know and I'll pick the key up and we can cover it. Kill Artist 1, the Dreamweaver Gamecat says, I would love to have a great mech game. I'll have to check this out. Old Darth says, this looks like the Mech Warrior game. Gamers have been waiting ages for it. Yeah, it does look very detailed. And that's the only thing that's really got me considering checking it out, is the fact that it does look so detailed and polished. Like, this seems like a fully fleshed out game, and hence the upcoming flat version that's coming out. Like, they wouldn't be able to sell this to flat gamers if it wasn't a fully featured mech game. Kill Artist says, I love the detailed customization. Yeah, there was a lot of that, right? Almost overwhelming to someone like me. Paradise Decay's here. He says it's awesome. Hello, PD. Thanks for joining us. PD says it's awesome. So there's another one. Kill Artist, what VR systems is it launching on? It's Quest and PC. Meme Rogers, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Like, maybe there's a little too much going on here. It depends on how intuitive it is. Like, obviously, if it's too much to learn, you're going to get in the game and just basically stand there and get killed while you're trying to figure things out. But if the controls are super intuitive, then maybe you just get in there and feel like a total badass. Paradise Decay, Meme Rogers, Kill Artist 1, all think that I should pick up the key and play it. Duly noted. Johnny C, does it have a campaign? I don't know. I think so, but I don't know. I don't know that it does. I know that's why I liked Vox. Vox is my favorite mech game in VR, and it's because of that single player story campaign. Looper the Underground Game Cat, RE Village is the only time I enjoyed being in a mech in VR. Good call. Paradise Decay says it's so instinctive and it has some really cool mechanics. Well, if that's the case, I might enjoy it then, because it certainly looks like a very polished VR game, and I am a fan of very polished VR games. Inferno 9, I just remember the old Xbox game Steel Battalion. Mech game with the 30-button controller and 3 pedals. I owned it twice. Now they're doing it all in VR. Well, there you go. No campaign as far as I know. They do have a roadmap, so it'd be worth checking out. So yeah, no campaign. I guess multiplayer, or at least arena battle mode only. Kill Artist says having a campaign would really sell this. You would think so, right? But again, Vox Machina is a great mech game with a story campaign, and I'm not sure that it's like the household name that it should be. Anyway, that's it for our headlines this week, folks, and that brings us into this week's reminders. We're going to start off the way we always do and take a look at what's out this week. Starship Home is out this week. For those of you out there who own a Quest 3, this is a mixed reality I don't know what you. I guess it's technically a game. It certainly seems like a game that's more on the casual side, maybe like a Garden of the Sea for your home, where you have aliens that you take care of and grow in your house. I don't know. I mean, obviously, not the most compelling thing for hardcore gamers, but I do like the idea of putting all of these interplanetary views just outside your artificial windows that you grow. This is something that I imagine, while it might not be the funnest thing in the world to play, it would probably be pretty cool after you got everything set up to just kind of have a nice space to relax in, right? Put some nice big windows on your wall to peer out of, and a few of these alien plants around your house. And you get to walk around your home as if it were a spaceship. Hence the title, Starship Home. Anyway, that's out this week for Meta Quest 3, September 26th. So 2 more days on that one. And everyone will be able to blast off in the comfort of their own living room. What else? What else is out this week?
I tell you, it takes a lot of rage to stare across 8 realms of hell, an ocean of demons, into the eyes of a red judge, and still think, I'm coming for you.
Metal Hellsinger launching this week for all major VR platforms. This game's coming to Quest, Steam VR, and PlayStation VR 2. A lot of hype behind this game for obvious reasons. A popular flat rhythm game with an awesome soundtrack. Looks like it was made, like it was always meant to be in VR. But coming out this week, is it going to be good? I think it'll be good. Will it be great? I'm not so sure it'll be great. It could be. It certainly has the potential to be. Obviously, when you look at a game like that, it looks like Doom, right? And everyone loves playing Doom. But we need to remember that this is not Doom. This is a different game. It's Metal Hellsinger. So we'll see. We'll see how good it is. I'm sure it will be fun. How fun is the question? And then we don't have to wait very much longer to find out. Ali Dashti in the chat says, question, what is your opinion on the PSVR 2? Well, I'm for it. No, obviously I love my PSVR 2. That platform has the best native VR games in it that I've ever played. And if you're asking my opinion of the headset, I think it's a great headset. It's my daily driver PC VR headset. So I like it. I'm a big fan. Paradise Decay says, virtual strangers. That's me. He says, do you know who else likes to blast off?
My mom!
Yeah, she does. Looper the Underground Gamecat says it's next week, I think, as well as Max Mustard and Until Dawn. What are you talking about? Metal Hellsinger? I thought it was this week. Just a second here and I'll verify that. Maybe I grabbed the wrong thing. Okay, yeah, it's okay. That's my bad. It's the 20. It's this week on Quest. Good catch, Looper. It's not out on all platforms this week. It's out this week on Quest only. So yeah, thank you for that. Have I played the demo? No, I have not. I've had the opportunity to play the full game. I just haven't played it yet. I've heard mixed things about it, so I wanted to give them the most amount of time to polish the game before I actually get in and check it out. All right, thanks for stopping by, PD. Be careful on your trip to school. Kill Artist says, dang, I forgot this was coming out so soon. Looks like a VR playing weekend between this and Into the Radius. I'm sure AJ will be streaming this one. Well, as Looper pointed out, it's next week. It's coming out next week on PlayStation VR. So you've got a week. You can go ahead and put some more time into the Radius this weekend, and you can be playing Metal Hellsinger next weekend. Yeah, that's right, Inferno 9. That's the reason why we put the button on there. I went through the trouble of figuring out how to do it without a soundboard like Ruuts has. Yeah, my mom is along for the ride. Anyway, we do have a few more titles that are out this week. I did not obviously list them all, but we do have another one that's relatively significant that I'd like to mention.
Ever wonder where you'd land if you fell so deep into sleep to a place beyond imagination?
Where am I?
Where the very fabric of reality unravels.
Oh, no. The machine is broken. Come to think of it, it must have been the engine that pulled you down into Wonderland. If you can find this winged thief and get the machine parts back, we'll be able to send you home.
What are you doing in here, little girl? Are you lunch?
A compass? Oh, I'm sure someone around here could help you find a compass.
My oh my, do you see what I see, Tweedledee?
You seem brave. I'll just follow you around everywhere.
I don't actually care who you are. Are you completely worthless?
There's no turning back now, is there?
No, I don't think there is.
So excited for Cortopia Studios' latest, Escaping Wonderland. This, of course, a direct sequel to Down the Rabbit Hole, which is a game that I have long felt is highly underrated. Nice, unique, original diorama-style puzzle game, known for its off-the-wall characters and surrealistic environments. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this since the day that they announced it. This seems like it takes that concept that Down the Rabbit Hole proved out and expands it into a fully fledged, fully polished VR game here, story adventure. So, what am I going to be playing this week? Well, you're looking at it. This is the one right here. Probably going to be covering this game. Well, I was going to say I would probably be covering this game on Saturday, but the fact of the matter is that I probably won't be doing a show this Saturday. I'm likely going to be traveling out of town this weekend. So probably not going to be any Strangers in the Night this week. With that said, we should be back next Monday to do an episode. And what kind of an episode will we be doing next Monday? I don't know. We might do another numbered episode following on State of Play and Connect. Or we might just do like a Strangers in the Night style episode where we catch up on some of these releases. Either way, we'll be off this weekend and back next Monday. Yes, Looper, that's right. I'm going to a festival this weekend. And if I don't, we've got, my friend has passes. They're 4-day passes. I know that I'm going on Thursday. I'm almost 100% sure that I'm going on Friday. I'm not 1,000% sure that I'm going on Saturday or not. If I don't go on Saturday, I think my family are going to go into an amusement park. So I'll probably still be gone either way. But yeah, no, that's the plan, to go see Slayer and Slipknot and Gojira and all of these bands that are coming to Louisville this weekend. Good morning, SAS Lord. So that's it, ladies and gents. That's what's out this week. Definitely looking forward to this one. Stay tuned. We'll definitely have more on that in the coming weeks. We move along to this week's viewer comments. And we start with Kennytron Omega. Great. Lone Wes holding it down. Great show. Lone Wes holding it down. That's what we do, baby. The chat is the co-host, I guess, from now on. If this being the best VR show is debatable, it's definitely the most consistent. Well, thank you. I think it's not debatable. We are number one, even if it is just me. I'm the best. No, thank you for the compliment. I do try to be consistent here as much as I can. You know, we're not very consistent in our timing. We just kind of go when we can manage to put a show together and make it on the air. But the content itself is pretty consistent. So yeah, thank you for that. He also asked, did you ever find out if there's a workaround to get Lucross mods working on Game Pass? I didn't know that there was any problem using Lucross mods on Game Pass. Has anyone had trouble using Lucross mods on a Game Pass? I'm pretty sure that that it works. You might have to like rename the file structure a little bit. If there's some like naming conventions that are causing it not to install properly. But yeah, if there's a problem running Game Pass, I would, it's a surprise to me. I would just read on his Patreon. I'm sure that it's addressed on there. If there's a problem running Game Pass out of the box, I guarantee you there's a post that talks about that and tells you how to deal with it. Looper says, I'm pretty sure I played High on Life with the Lucross mod on Game Pass without issues. Yeah, I've had issues playing a certain game on there. I want to say Watch Dogs 2, maybe, that I had a difficulty getting the thing running. But that when I moved out of Game Pass and took it to Steam or another platform, I had the same issues across platforms. So I don't think it was a Game Pass problem so much as just a problem with that specific title. But no, yeah, if there's any kind of issue with it, I'm not aware of it. And if you're having a problem with something, hit us up on Discord. I'm sure people on there will be more than willing to help you get it sorted. Yeah, well, maybe that was it. Maybe it was Ubisoft. Yeah, that's what it was. That's why it was the same no matter which platform that you get it from, whether you get it on Game Pass or you get it from Ubisoft directly. It doesn't matter where you get it from. It always comes from Ubisoft Plus. Yeah, I couldn't get it going. Like I put probably 30 or 45 minutes into trying to get that game to boot, and it wouldn't even run. Let's see. What's 12? The backlogged Game Cat says Metamorphosis is having an Inception level vibe for me at the moment. A fellow worker brought up an old story he had read about a group of individuals surviving various cataclysms and later being revealed to be bugs. But the hunt led us to the Metamorphosis book that inspires this VR title. This conversation happened Monday night, and now this. So the universe is telling you that you need to play this game, 12, obviously. You need to play Metamorphosis, and I'm sure it'll be awesome, and you'll get some crazy meaning out of it. Rickaron 7593. You were thinking of the cosmos. It was a nightmare and became a paperweight for many people. Yeah, that's true. It was a nightmare. The tracking was terrible. The battery life was terrible. What's funny though is when that game came out, when that headset came out, it was widely known to be garbage in the VR sphere. But we went into this VR social app called The Wave. And The Wave had a very dedicated group of people that came into it every week, and they would hold these digital raves, basically. They would have live DJs come in and have all of this crazy psychedelic art going off in the room, 3D. And it was a really great app and a good time. But when we got in there and started talking to these people, these regulars that were going into The Wave, they all were playing on Vive Cosmos, and they loved it. They thought it was great. You could tell that they weren't like VR people. They were coming into VR for The Wave, but they all had like their latest HTC headset, and they didn't know that it got any better than that. They were kind of oblivious to the problems. That dank cheese. Watching the recap, and as soon as you mentioned the state of play, I looked it up, and they just announced it. September 24th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific, promising more than 20 upcoming PS5 and PSVR 2 games. Sony says that it will be more than 30 minutes. So yes, to answer your question, who was it that was asking? Boy Brown? Yes, a state of play was announced yesterday for tonight. And there will be VR games involved in some way. Now, does that mean that they're going to reveal a new title that we're not familiar with? Not necessarily. It could be that we get new information on an announced title. Maybe we get a release date for Metro or something like that. But I'll keep my fingers crossed that hopefully they reveal whatever the next big VR release is going to be on PSVR 2 during tonight's State of Play. Mark Smith, 1535. I think I just need to get the Plucky Squire on PS5. I don't have a PC, and this game just looks great. Yeah, I think you should. I think you should get it. It was an excellent game, and as much fun as I had playing it in the headset, being in the headset is not what made that game great. It was just a great game, period. And it would have been almost as good on a flat screen than it was in VR. What made it great was the way that it kind of jumped back and forth between retro gameplay mechanic to a different retro gameplay mechanic, stuff that we remember playing from our childhood. It does so in a very creative way. And it was just awesome. So yeah, if you can't play it in VR, it's definitely worth playing flat. It's free VR real estate. Wes is going to wait for the subside sales to subside. Yeah, that was the plan. But I was informed today on Discord that I have been gifted a game in Steam. And I haven't looked to verify it yet, but I have a sinking suspicion that that game is going to be subside. So now I'm at this dilemma because it was never about not wanting to pay for the game. When I said I wasn't going to cover it until later, it was because I didn't think that it deserved my attention. But thank you for gifting me the title. I guess I have to check it out. Obviously, people want to see me talking about it. People keep bringing it up. Maybe we'll do it in a couple of weeks or something. GameCat Behemoth says, "Okay, they unfucked themselves." No, it wasn't. It wasn't the developer that gifted it to me. It was a community member. So yeah, it was a shout out Void Citizen for gifting it to me. I assume. I haven't checked it out. Maybe it'll be something else, but I'm sure that's what it is. finally, we've got a couple of comments here from MainFan. First of all, he says, I hope Wes is getting paid for those extra hours if he's actually working 12 to 15-hour days. My job is 8-hour days, and I'm salaried, so no extra work hours. Well, I'm salaried as well. I don't get paid by the hour. I get paid a salary. And it's not always like this. Like, yes, I've been working 12 to 15 hours lately. That's absolutely true. But it comes and goes. I'll have a period of time where I'm working long days, and then I'll have a period of time where I'm working short days. It balances itself out in the end. So yeah, I'm kind of on the back end now of a very busy 6 weeks or so, and this week will also be very busy. But after this week, I expect it to calm down and give me a little bit of a break. Also, I'll say this: my weeks, while I'm working long days, that's just the front half of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are balls to the wall. Thursday, it takes a considerable step back, and then Fridays are often like half day. So yeah, I'm working 12 and 15 hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, working more like 8 hours on Thursday, and like 4-5 hours on Friday, and then off every Saturday and Sunday. So it's not that bad. And plus, I am working in the VR industry and helping grow the industry and helping developers be successful. So it's not exactly like I'm on a factory floor slaving away. I'm sitting right here in this chair at this computer, taking a lot of meetings, giving a lot of advice, writing press releases, sending influencers game keys, all these sorts of things. So yeah, I'm not complaining at all. I love my job, and I love the people I work with. MainFan also says 3 hours building up these scenes from scratch. Oh, I know that pain. Yeah, that was last week. I had nothing to build on. I had to build it up from nothing. So it took a long time to build out all the scenes in OBS to get the show going. This week, I may have spent 30 minutes on it. Like I just went right through it quickly because I have a template now. I have all the scenes built up, and as long as I stick to the format where I have an intro topic, I have 4 headlines, I have 3 games that are out this week, and the rest of it, as long as I stay in that template when I build out the show notes, then I have all the scenes all set up here. All of the settings are set so that things work how they're supposed to work. And it's easy now. It was just tough last week. And that, my friends, is viewer comments. And so we move along to this week's Wishlist segment. This is the part where we ask all of you to join me in real time as we all go together right now and wishlist a title. We do this to support the developers. It's a big deal to them, right? It's an easy thing we can do, just a couple of clicks, and we can go and help them with their particular algorithms on the Quest Store, on the Steam Store, on the PlayStation Store. This week, I decided to wishlist EXOcars. I'm fairly excited for this game, even if it isn't full multiplayer. Physics-based racing in a Doom buggy, sign me up. This looks like hella fun. So we wishlisted this week. If you would like to also wishlist this game, I will now drop the link in the chat. And anyone who is interested can just click on through there and wishlist it. But it doesn't have to be this game. You can wishlist any game. It typically is more helpful for smaller studios and independent developers. But of course, we don't want you wishlisting games that you don't want. You always wishlist stuff that you want, and it turns out to be a benefit for you. And you're notified when a game goes on sale, for example. All right. Anyway, thank you to everyone who took a moment out of your time to wish list a game this week. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you wish listed. All right, and that brings us to our final reminder this week and every week, and that is what you can do to support us, our channel, our community. Of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Obviously, there's so much talk around all the work behind the scenes that goes into getting this show up and running and together. I'm going to continue doing it, even if it's just me here, talking to you in the chat until the end of time. As long as people are showing up to the shows and enjoying the content, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep improving and getting better with it. And I don't ask for much. I just ask that you subscribe. Help that number grow. Help us with the algorithms by clicking the buttons. Subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. All of that stuff really helps. Now, obviously, if you want to do something extra, you can support us on Patreon, where for as little as $3 per month, you can get access to our weekly show notes, exclusive content, insider updates, and you get your name in the credits at the end of the show, all for less than $1 per week. Your monetary donations they've been critical this summer, allowing us to really explore the Unreal catalog and play some of the best flat games in VR. I have to buy all of those games, and I wouldn't be able to do so without the monetary support from people who leave tips and the patrons, of course. So thank you to anyone out there who is donated to the show. We very much appreciate your donation. Evan Yabu says, I wish listing Trombone Champ. Awesome. I know some people that'll be excited to hear that. Inferno 9 said, I already wish listed that. It looks awesome. Maybe closer to Motorstorm that I've been wanting to happen. Yeah, maybe Motorstorm would be a good one. What's up, LSM? Thanks for joining. GameCat Behemoth says, I already did EXOcars. I'm going to do Trombone Champ as well. Well, hell yeah. Why don't we all just do Trombone Champ then while we're at it? I'll go ahead and do it too. We'll go to Steam. Trombone Champ. Unflattened. Be sure you're doing Trombone Champ Unflattened, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here we are from Flat to VR Studios and Holy Wow Studios. Trombone Champ Unflattened. We're going to wish list. Boom. Just like that. And anyone else who wants to support Flat to VR Studios, even if you're not super excited about the Trombone Champ game, the success of this game will directly fund our future efforts with the games that you do care about. So your support is very much appreciated for Trombone Champ. Thank you, everyone. Looper wishlisted Trombone Champ on all platforms. Inferno 9 also wishlisted Trombone Champ. Thank you, everyone. This is a big deal. I hear people talking about it all the time in the back end about how we need to get the word out and get people wishlisting the game so that we can do what we need to do on both of the storefronts, on Quest and Steam, and PlayStation VR for that matter. So everyone who's doing their part, we appreciate it. But our final reminder, of course, if you don't have any money, that's fine. You can hang out with us all day, every day on Discord for absolutely free. There's an invitation in the description down below. That is where we're hanging out 365, 24/7, talking about VR, talking about life, watching police chases, sharing music and jokes. You miss Ruuts? Do you guys miss Ruuts? You can talk to Ruuts on the Discord. He's on there all the time, chiming in and giving his 2 cents, as he typically does. Yeah, Ruuts is still around on the Discord, so if you guys miss him, drop by and say hello. Again, invitation in the description below. What's up, Go Shot? Thanks for joining. Things are good. Just wrapping up another successful, awesome episode of Virtual Strangers. And that's our show, folks. With that said, I'd like to thank you all once again for watching. For Brad, I'm Wes. We'll see you next Monday. Goodbye, everyone.